how about we start there then? Like, what's the true outcome? Like, why are we doing this in the first place? Like, would you say it's for longevity or just to, like, I often say, like, it's to express highest potential. And so most people have it the wrong way around, where they think that you would only move this or hang and not sit and all this for longevity's sake. But many people don't even care about like living to 120. Like they're like, oh, I'm good with 80. But I also say it's not just about longevity; it's also about the degree to which you can actually express potential in your body as well. And so, do you want to be your strongest, your healthiest, your most jacked? So yeah, I suppose what's your outcome? What's your reasoning, or what do you find are the reasonings behind your clients and what they want?
Yeah, I find that a lot of it is quality of life. When you talk about living longer, it's we already have the average lifespan is longer than it ever has been. Like just literally how long we are alive. But the health span of like how long we are healthy and functional for, this is shorter than ever. Like we are literally seeing back pain now in teenagers in 20s. Like by 30 now, what is it? 90% of people will never sprint again after 30. Like back pain, knee problems, this is like accepted by the age we're 30, right? So yes, if we do everything right, we probably will add a few years on at the end, which some people might care, some people might not. There's no guarantee we will even reset everyone, right? But the life within the years there, if you can have, when we are children, like the freedom we have, it's not that we can do the middle splits or we are insane athletes or so, but we just have a body that's not a problem. Like we can do anything we want. We wake up in the morning, you can go play football, you can do whatever you want without being tired or in pain. That's like if we can maintain that for longer, that I believe is a big part.
Mm. And so if that's the outcome or the reason we're doing it in the first place, what do you think is the system to get there? Like your daily system. Hanging's one of them you just mentioned. Not sitting as much. Do you sit at all? Or do you find if you're on a bus, do you sit or do you just like hang from the pole?
Of course we sit, man. Of course we rest. I mean, the body has. I'm sure right now, like this is literally how I work at home. Right? It's like I'll sit on the floor, I'll squat or so. But of course, like we all live in a society where sitting is a part of life and everything, right? So there's two parts of it, right? One part is damage control. It's like maybe making a day in your life less damaging to the body. But then the other aspect, it's obviously the active work to undo this, right? Right. So like exercise, mobility work, and this. And I find that if you do good on this part, you can actually get away with a lot of sitting and whatnot and still be healthy. So yeah.
Do you see it almost like drinking alcohol? Like the longer you abstain from drinking alcohol and eat healthy foods or what we deem as healthy foods, right? Getting your sunlight, hydration, it's like two whiskeys on a Friday isn't going to hurt you as much as, binge drinking every single day, which would be the equivalent of sitting in your desk or whatever it is for hours on end.
Yeah. I mean, I think with alcohol there, it's always a obvious dosage effect relationship. That the more you drink, the more you get. It's still like two whiskeys every Friday. It's still negative. Like we can't get away from that. It would be better to not do that. But it's better if you're gonna have two whiskeys every Friday. You're obviously gonna be better off if you're very healthy in general. So yeah, if we say about sitting a
Yeah.
lot, definitely
Yeah.
not ideal to sit too much.
I think like a lot of this is down to resilience. Like it comes down to resilience points of like how resilient can I be to life itself, to reality itself, whereby I'm ticking these kind of like boxes of Alex's system or Dylan's system. Everyone's got their nuances on what they believe is like the hierarchy and how much, like volume, intensity, all of that. But ultimately, if you're doing the big macro things, it's almost you're just getting more resilient the longer you do it, the more consistent you do it. And that's what sets you up for longevity. But to what you said before, when we're like waking up as kids, being able to like go outside, play football, it's like that's an expression of play. And you can actually play more, which is why I bring up the alcohol thing. I'm like, I remember when I was like crushing it at the gym, eating like healthy animal-based foods, 2 years ago. I'd have like a binge drinking night out with like guys in Bali or whatever it is, and I wouldn't feel the effects the next day. I'd be up and back into my routine. It's like it kind of just like goes through you. Like you're not as bogged down by the effects of it as much.
Yeah, yeah, no, that is 100%. Like we do handle things better. Same if someone is super healthy, super fit, their alignment, their posture at some point, yeah, they're gonna be okay in general, right? Like that does matter a lot, a lot, a lot. I think it still comes down to two factors, like how much can you limit the damage and how much can you make yourself robust. But that, then also it's like we don't want to live in a life is for living, right? So like if you enjoy drinking, then do that. If you find a system that works.
What's actually, we haven't talked about that. What's your view on alcohol in general? But equally, what do you think is like, say it is like a expression of play to some, where they're like, oh, the social benefits outweigh the cons of the body. Like, where do you find the middle ground, and where do you think that's just like the ego lying to itself?
I mean, my consumption now is that I do not drink any alcohol whatsoever. It's not even a rule. Like, it's nothing to do with morality or a rule or so. It's just over time evolved into that. Like when I weigh the pros and cons for myself. To me, I see it as like it has pros. It's definitely fun. You can bond, you can do all these things, right? But yeah, there's pros and cons. So now I just look at like when is it worth for me to take those cons? Like when will it outweigh? So yeah, say it's your birthday, man. Say it's New Year's, whatever. Right? Might have some drinks, but in general, I find that it's very rarely worth it for me because I do prioritize so much feeling better. And obviously, this is also the place. Like I live in a hippie place. There's not a lot of drinking here.
Yeah, what is that about Southeast Asia, bro? Like when I first arrived in Bali, I
Uh,
expected everyone that I would meet long term to be like party animals, and they are to an extent, but they don't drink. Like you have like two sides of the fence of tourists who just go there and binge alcohol for 2 weeks on the beach, and then you have another group of people that are there, entrepreneurs, digital nomads, whatever they're doing. But most of them I've found don't actually drink. Is it the same in
yeah.
Thailand, or I don't know?
Yeah, I mean, I also live on a very specific island, right? So there's a lot of Thailand, and you definitely do have a lot of drinking in Thailand in general. The people that come here, the tourists, the whatever, a lot of people. This island specifically has a very big health and wellness scene, and even here, right, like events and socializing and stuff is very often based around like wellness stuff. We'll go sauna, ice bath. There's even like sober rave parties and these things. So I don't know if there's many aspects to it. Like one is the health and wellness. One it's I don't know when we are because obviously everyone's traveled here. No one is from here. So when like maybe you're out of old patterns. If you were still home, maybe you would be drinking with your old circles, old friends. Maybe there's nothing to do in your hometown, so you're just like drinking. I just find life so exciting here. There is no like in a sense, I have better things to do than go drinking. And I know I'm excited for tomorrow. So I don't want to be hungover tomorrow as well.
There's level of like location design when it comes to what we, us traveling around the world doing what we do, that I find is like it starts off as we're going to a certain environment for the beaches or for the things we can do there, but you end up staying because of the way it makes you feel, and also how it's also a part of your wider system, right? Like we're a product of our environment as a human, or more so maybe the culture. Uh, but when you're kind of talking around the body and the health aspect of things, it tends to be better at play. I just say like the healthiest places are the ones with the healthiest people. The environments that they're kind of like a representation of that, if that makes sense. Like the people that are the healthiest tend to gravitate towards the healthiest environments. Not always the case in like some countries, because obviously we're born into them. But if I look at like a really beautiful island with conductive sand where you can go ground and stand on, the most sun in the world, beautiful fruits, surfing culture, Muay Thai, Thailand sticks out. Bali sticks out. And as long as the tourists don't like over occupy it, it seems to remain kind of clean. So I think like location design is really interesting when you look into it deeper.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's. I mean, it's one of the biggest factors you can affect in your life, right? Because you are going to be a product of the environment. Like you can make a point that we should be resilient and like centered in ourselves and not be pulled away with what's going on around us. But we are going to be that. Or if you're not, because when I was at home, I would still be trying to like live this lifestyle, but it meant you had to do it solo because everyone else was out drinking. So even then, you're not really living fully because you're just like now you're isolating. So yeah, it does matter a lot with the environment because now you can like you're encouraged to do this lifestyle and you're having fun doing it because everyone else like when I'm in the gym here, man, and all my friends are there and we're all training, so we're all high on dopamine and there's music blasting, and I think like why would I even go to a party, man? We literally have I have all the friends here. We're all high dopamine. We have good music playing. Like I wouldn't even be happier if we were drinking, you know?
Bro, that sort of culture is so influential. I don't know if you've come across To the Death. I think that's what they're called. Have you seen them on YouTube? I'll pull them up. Till the Death. Okay, let me try to find these guys.
You need to get a Jamie to pull the thing up on
Yeah, I know, I know,
a.
right? Here we go. Green. These guys. Can you hear this?
Yeah, I hear it. I never seen this, guys.
So I'll just fast forward a little. Hang on, I'll skip to when they're doing like crazy weights.
I'm waiting for the relevance to the tropical beaches.
Oh, that's a completely different exercise. Basically, these guys, right? There's three of them. Where is this dude, bro? This is the main dude, right?
Okay.
He's the like instigator. This is him hated. And then there's this guy who's not showing yet. I don't know where. He's like the biggest unit. Oh, here we go. This guy. So basically, this guy, right? They call him Unk, like Uncle, and he does the biggest weights. Obviously,
Okay.
dude's massive. And so what happens, right, is they're a crew and they come in and Unk sets the standard. So he'll throw on the plates. He's the instigator of the actual workout and everyone else has to follow what he says. So he'll be like, oh yeah, 100 reps of this. And so you have to do 100 reps. And like he's got these rules about it. So if you watch these videos, you'll see them like one of them is like you can't close your eyes. If you close your eyes once during your set, you have to do 15 press ups for every single time you've shut your eyes. Because the reason is that he reckons like you're evading pain. Like you should just take it like a man and just like open your eyes basically instead of like, staring away or something. Um, and they got all these standards about it. And so they do these circuits, like these gauntlets, and they just go balls to the wall failure. And they invite like FL stars on, like fitness celebrities, guys like this. But my point was, this is like sort of culture that obviously yours is very different in Thailand, I can imagine. But it's like that rush of dopamine, regardless. Like this is their culture, like American or wherever the hell they're from. Where it's like iron and it's grinding, but it's still the benefit of like the hood or even just the
Yeah.
team, like a squad getting after it.
Yeah.
And my point is, how much better can you be when you're influenced by a squad? Like you have your brothers with you, the music's going, and you're in Alex's element or Dylan's element versus just solo at the gym by yourself.
Yeah. 100%, man. And that's also, I mean, when I look at them there, it's obviously very, very high testosterone, you know, very, very masculine pushing. And that's sometimes that's what's missing in places like this, you know, is because it becomes a little bit more relaxed energy. People are, I think in Bali, people are a little bit more at least grinding with the business. Here, I mean, people in general are not on the grind here. You know, they're healthy in a lot of ways, but like, yeah, sometimes obviously that's why you balance it out because you have a lot of like martial arts and stuff here, which is good because otherwise it's a very relaxed energy on the island, you know.
All right, I got a question there. Let's just say I'm coming to you and I'm like a mid-20s male or maybe even like mid-30s male. I want to be as lethal as possible. What's your programming going to be for me over like, let's just say a week? Just pick a random week in like a macro cycle. What would you be prescribing me with if I was like, I want to express my highest potential? I want to feel powerful, basically.
I think with everyone, it comes down to like there's a certain level of strength, there's a certain level of mobility, a certain level of like posture and alignment and biomechanics that we need. That is fundamental. Like to be a basically healthy human, be free from problems, free from pain, and be able to pick up skills, right? Like, yeah, if you want to be lethal, yeah, you want to learn martial arts, want to learn combat skills as well. But like to do that, you need a capable body because you see people, a lot of people come out here. A lot of people are like out of shape, right? They're like in office job, whatever. They have the midlife crisis or so. They come out here. They wanna just do Muay Thai. They wanna go into Muay Thai camps and train twice per day. they all get injured because their body isn't handled to it. And Muay Thai, or really any martial arts, is a man-made concept. Like it's specializing the body into a weapon, but it's not the way we are made to exercise. It's a very repetitive movement, so they'll get injured just because their body, the general preparedness of their body isn't there. So you would have to build up mobility, bodily function, and strength to be able to handle like hard martial. You don't get fit, in my opinion, you don't get fit by doing martial arts. You get fit to do martial arts.
Okay. So I've heard like guys say, hitting the assault bike. You know how like you see like the classic martial artists like hitting the assault bike doesn't actually translate that well to being fighting fit. Like there's the whole specificity argument of what makes you fitter at fighting, like what builds your gas tank. It's doing more of fighting because your body's kinetic chains are getting more accustomed, like you said, to the specificity of fighting. Yes, you're more prone to injury if you're not building like a base of like maybe other movement patterns and things. But there is the argument like, what is actual fitness? And for that argument, strength as well. Like when you're training the deadlift, are you actually getting stronger or are you just getting better at the deadlift and that movement pattern over time?
The really simple way to explain it, if you're gonna win a race, Formula One or whatever, there, right? There's two factors. There's how good is your car and how good are you at using your car, like driving it. So the gym should literally be about upgrading your hardware, like making sure there's no problems and pimping it out as much as can. The biggest engine, biggest turbo, biggest is there. And then the skill of driving the car, that that we can say here is the skill of doing the sport or activity. The only way you get better at that is by doing it. You cannot get better at martial arts by doing something that kind of, you see people in the gym, they do like some dumbbell exercise like this. It's like, no, the only way to get better at martial arts is doing martial arts. So the strength training and physical preparedness should only be about building a body that's strong, energetic, capable, robust, injury proof. But yeah, then you have to practice the skills as well.
Yeah, so going back to like the lethal system, let's just call it that. What's going into that program over the weeks, the months, the years? Like, are you someone that thinks that you need like seasons of speciality, like where you are focusing on martial arts for a season, then you return to more strength training, or do you find like you can include all of these practices into any given week?
Yeah, I believe it should always be combined. The again, if we separate this into like maintaining, repairing, upgrading your car, like the physical work, in my opinion, that should almost always be the same. No matter what you do, you need a certain level of strength and muscle. You need flexibility. You need good cardio help and joint help and so. If anything, then I go into seasons here. Okay, some season I'm really interested in martial arts. Some season I'm really interested in like maybe handstands, acrobatics, and this stuff, right? Or like football or whatever sports. There you can completely change what skill you're practicing. But we should always be with the strength. And there's also the mistake, I think, because people think that, oh, if I really want to focus on building muscle, like if I'm going to train 5 times per week, that you're going to build muscle faster. Whereas like you can only build muscle at a certain rate, to build strength at a certain rate. And if you train correctly, the HIT training that we do, like if you do properly, twice per week strength training, I don't believe that you progress faster by doing more than that. So you have 5 free days anyway. This is of course, dependent on, it can be give or take some day, right? But like anyway, you have 5 days free per week, which you can allocate to skill practice. If we say here, this is combining the fundamental strength and mobility and so. It might be 2 or 3 days per week that you're training this. We should always have a lot of free days to spend on doing stuff.
So okay, so then the system for you is like two days of high intensity training, and then and you're working out every single day. Do you believe in recovery days or just like full off days, or do you believe more like the ethos of active recovery where you're at least moving?
Yeah. I don't have any days when I don't do anything. You can see it. This is from one of my mentors. He taught me more to think about it as days of like red, orange, or green. So like how intense
Like a work band.
yeah, kind of.
Like
So
recovery score.
Yeah. It's just like, I mean, I believe it's like a green day. Like, no matter how wrecked you are, no matter how overtrained or whatever you are, we can go walking, and you can still walk. Walking is absolutely zero stress on the body. So on the days I'm not doing anything else, I'll go walking. I'll do my 10K steps. I'll do however much we need, right? If someone's trying to lose fat, then walking is great. They can do 15,000 steps even on their recover days. But I'll always do, because it boosts your mood. It gets you, exercise is good in general. You're gonna be way better. Like a day for me of doing nothing, I'm just gonna feel low and not that good, right? So I believe people do it a little bit wrong, where people have either, like, a lot of people, they kind of like overdo it in the gym, overdo the strength training, and then they're very sedentary outside of that. Whereas I'm more like let's do 2 times strength per week. Absolutely smash those. Like, you're coming in fresh, you're hitting PRs, you're giving it your everything. But then all the other days are active. In some ways, man, my strength days are the most chill, because you just go in the gym and like you just sit there and like do strength, Like
Yeah,
the other days are more active in a sense.
yeah. I was at rugby the other day, and one of the guys asked me, "How's your power lifts?" or like, "How's your lifts at the moment on the barbell?" And I commented back like, "Dude, I don't really know because I'm not testing like anywhere close to my max, nor am I actually prioritizing the barbell at the moment. But from the recent times I've used the barbell, it's felt pretty good. I've done like abnormal movements, like I was doing reverse bench press the other day, finishing off the triceps, and I was able to like do quite a bit of reps at a weight that I would have typically struggled with in like regular bench press. I also did some squats the other day with like elevated heels, trying to focus on kind of like the movement pattern of my knees and just get some quad activation going. And it felt so good. Like I got like a massive high off the back of it, but I'm not going to squat more than once per week, if that at the most. And so I've been kind of like not really doing the barbells, right? But ultimately, what I like to see is a level of maintenance with the strength in the barbell, or slight improvement from not having trained it, because that's giving me feedback that I am getting stronger. My nervous system's actually getting stronger, despite the fact that I'm actually not training them. And that if I were to train them and specialize in them for a season, I could get a lot higher than I did being able to build. And so therefore I'm building like this amazing engine, like this great base, kind of like the hardware example you used. But I was talking to this guy at rugby, and I was like, dude, I can't say I'm the strongest I've ever been with the barbell. Like when I used to compete in powerlifting, I was a lot stronger in it. But what I can say is I feel very dynamic at the moment. Like I feel good. And that's because I've been plugging in basically every second day with a lot of pattern days, I call them, where I'm just like building patterns with various levels of volume and intensity, with different tools and equipment, some body weight, some not. Sprinting, like a lot of rotations in there with kettlebells and things like this. And it's been feeling really good. It's been opening up like my scapula and my rib cage, where I've notoriously struggled with tightness, as I've mentioned to you, and some really obscure movements that it has everyone in the gym like, what is that guy up to? But they kind of look very animalistic and primal at the same time, and like you're throwing around some decent weight if you can really hone into the pattern. So yeah, do you do things like that yourself? Like, are you on the sprinter some days? Are you using kettlebell some days when you're practicing movements, or is it just purely body weight?
Well, when people ask what the fuck you're doing in the gym, then you're on the right path.
100% Neo cracking the matrix.
No, so for example, I actually don't use kettlebells. If you were to look at like my training is almost separated. If we look at this aspect here of caring for the hardware, it's separated into 2 practices, which is the scientific strength training, the time under tension training that we work with, and then basically primal movement and joint maintenance. So again, I really see it as separating the kind of strength training and movement. The idea with kettlebell, right, is that you're basically gonna learn strength and movement skills at the same time, in a sense, right? You're gonna throw around the kettlebell in different ways, learn the skills. People are like juggling kettlebells, they like throw them up like catch them this. In my opinion, that's like, yeah, you're trying to do both at once. You're trying to do strength training and learn movement skills. But the strength training, I don't believe this is as efficient at building muscle as it is of going like a controlled set to muscular failure, and like pushing that to stimulate muscle growth. I believe that will build more muscle. And when we're talking movement skills, I don't believe that juggling a kettlebell is a very useful skill. Like I think you're much better off training sprinting, jumping, hanging, climbing, crawling, and whatever than a martial arts or sports you're doing. Yeah, I try to separate them in a sense where it's like, let's just do the optimal strength training where you get the most effects in terms of muscle and strength with the least amount of time and energy invested so that you can then spend your energy again doing sprint. I believe sprints will make you much more athletic than like juggling kettlebell. So like I'd rather save my energy for sprinting, jumping, crawling, rolling, climbing, hanging, whatever I didn't mention there. So it's like I'm just trying to be efficient with the strength training, get that over with, and then go do movement.
Yeah. What's been like your experience with training when you've been at your best, like overall? So we're going back to like the lethal program, and like we're trying to optimize for all areas as much as possible. Like what was the program looking like in your life when you were just like peak speed, power, strength, mobility, or is that right now? And like, what does that look like?
Do believe, if I say so myself, I actually believe that I am getting into the best that has ever been now. Of course, there's always been like ups and downs, right? Things happen, whatnot, but I kind of feel like I'm going into the absolute best now, so I can run through what I do if you want, yeah.
Yeah, do it. Yeah.
Yeah, every day there's a basic routine of joint health maintenance, which is basically just motion is lotion, right? So this involves sitting on the ground, rolling around on the ground, stretching out on the ground, hanging, stretching out, and just general just keeping the body supple in a sense. Then I'm doing it comes to out to about 2 times per week with the strength training. These sessions are like 40 minutes, right? So it's only one set per exercise, one long set to muscular failure. There, with the strength training.
Like Mike Manson style.
Yes, yeah, exactly. And then that now leaves me with 5 days per week where I have absolutely all the time and freedom in the world to do. And like because my strength training does it, like I'm not constantly sore, tired, or inflamed from strength training. So that gives me like say here the strength training. If you do the Mike Mentzer style and I press my for example the shoulders to failure, I now have I measure it, so I know that my shoulders need about 12 days to recover. That means that for 12 days there, I'm not bothered about training my shoulders again. I can literally completely disconnect from the aspect of exercise and training. I can only focus on movement here. So I have now like 10 days where I'm unaffected. I'm not sore from strength training. I'm not tired. I'm not inflamed. I can literally just focus on movement stuff. So again, all the primal movement, sprinting, climbing, crawling, all these things for general athleticism. And then the specific skills. So I'm very big into Muay Thai right now, which means I can do Muay Thai every single day now, being completely free from injury because you have the foundation of here. Right? So I can trade day in day out without getting any injuries, whether that's from like injuries or just chronic overuse things. You have a body now that's capable of training a lot and being strong. So now you have so much time for these skills. And then once this 12 days has passed and I return to my shoulder press, well, now the muscle has been growing for 12 days. And like now you come back, you hit a PR with the shoulder press. And again, you reset that clock. Like now I stimulated the muscles to grow stronger. I'm not stepping foot into the gym until that's fully completed. So now I have again, 10, 11 days of just basic martial arts and movement skills. Yeah.
What do you what do you have any like good tests for litmus tests for figuring out when you should be re-entering the gym and doing another intense session? Like I've heard Sir Charles Poliquin talk about if you can touch your toes, like normally, baseline, like just average man touches his toes. And then typically if you do like a really hard session, your nervous system's fried the next day. And therefore you
Yeah.
won't be able to touch your toes for like maybe like 2, 3 days. But when you can easily touch your toes without stretching, no warm up, that's when your nervous system's clearly showing signs to you that you can go back into another intense session. Do you have anything like that?
I understand what you're saying in terms of nervous system tensing up, but if you can't touch your toes, I think that's something to
Yeah, yeah,
address. like it
yeah,
should
yeah,
be no matter what. But yeah, a very very simple test basically. This is why if you train strength train properly, right? It's like if the client does an exercise or I do an exercise, we're gonna note down exactly okay how much weight and how how many reps, although I will measure the time under tension, right? How long you are. Now, this starts a very simple process where if this is your strength, when you train, you obviously, you don't get stronger the second you leave the gym. You're actually weaker because you fatigue the muscle. So the muscle needs to first recover to get up to baseline. And that might take a few days, because if you max out the shoulder press, if you come back the next day, you can't even do the same. Like you're literally weaker. So your body has to recover from this. And then it starts to overcompensate where it actually grows stronger from it. So that will mean that if you allow this to happen, say 1 day, 2 days, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days, 9 days there, whatever, is when you're stronger, you're going to have to experiment. If you do a shoulder press, if you try training after 6 days and you see that you're not stronger, then you know that was not enough. Like you didn't recover properly. Of course, your recovery, like your sleep, your stress, whatever will affect the cycle, but you can see the pattern there. It's like, okay, I need more than 6 days apart. So now I do the shoulder press and I wait 10 days and I see, oh, I came back, I was stronger. Now I start to have an idea. So, okay, 10 days might be a sweet spot of how long I need. Because if you train too soon, you're just restarting this process. You're not growing stronger. So you literally would have had better effect with your shoulder press, with your shoulder strength by not going to the gym. You could have spent that day doing martial arts instead.
So regarding HIIT, high intensity training, that popularized by Mike Mansson, obviously more so branded by Arthur Jones. If you've read The 4 Hour Body by Tim Ferriss, goes over a pretty awesome experiment. And the whole premise is that it's the most effective way scientifically to put on pounds of muscle, right? And then they had this guy called Casey, I forget his last name, who was the guy in the experiment, the famous, Casey Vito, is it? Yeah. Put on, 30 plus pounds of muscle in 30 days, like all-time world record. Now there's stipulation around he was injured, he was below his natural body weight, that he used steroids or endogenous hormones or whatever. But for the most part, it seems like he was locked in a lab, ate 5,000 calories a day, and like pound for pound or day for day, it was like the crazy experiment known to man in regards to how much muscle can the human skeletal system put on. So genetics aside, all of that aside, it's pretty crazy. So I read that in 2019, I think, and I proceeded to try it for like 2 years straight, on and on, off and on. My problem with it though was that like everyone that started to popularize it, the ones that like had the biggest accounts with it, to me they got big already before they started promoting it. So like it was the volume, it was like all the other training that they'd done for years to get to that point. And then they jumped on the bandwagon and were like, yes, it's the greatest thing since sliced bread. But I think the other thing I have a problem with is, you like your equation there of like reaching homeostasis and then getting into a place of progress, is it was precedented under the thing of like we need ample days of recovery in order to hit a new PB. And if you're not hitting a new PB, whatever the lift is, then you clearly haven't recovered enough. My argument to that, contest, and feel free to argue back with me here, is what if it's not so much just the recovery or only the recovery, but what if it's that I didn't elicit a strong enough stimulus upon the nervous system as well in order to create a magnitude there great enough for my body to respond to it and grow from? Because the body's the master adapter, as we know. Intensity, I think I agree. I'm more on the intensity side than I am on the volume side in terms of stimulus we can give, especially as naturals. But that said, I feel like the actual better remedy might be giving the body the polar opposite of what it's been getting, if the goal is to elicit the strongest stimulus possible. So an example of that is, I've been doing HIIT for so long. Is another strong set to failure going to elicit the same response than just blasting it with 10 sets of like, maybe not quite failure, but thereabouts, to get it like just the strongest stimulus versus trying to hit another PB. So I don't know if that all makes sense in context, but that's kind of my biggest issue with like the HIIT community.
Yeah, no, they're totally fair. There's also things I question, but like we should always question it. I think, and yeah, I didn't, like I kind of shortened the explanation, but I see it as, if you didn't get stronger, if you work out and you come back and the next time you're not stronger, one of two things have gone wrong. Yes, either this workout did not stimulate the growth in the first place, or proper recovery and building did not take place in between. So yes, it is one of those two. And it's important to note also that this is also a little bit what I don't like with HIT community and the way they talk is that it's not like HIT is the only thing that works. Like clearly everything works because obviously very few people are doing HIT. We see a lot of jacked people, so it's like it's obviously not the only way that works. I think if you've been around fitness enough, you've seen people who do very stupid stuff who have great bodies because genetics play a big part. And if you do anything consistently, you're gonna get results anyway. So it's a little bit that like all roads lead to Rome, but yeah, maybe HIT is the highway. Maybe it's the most effective way. I've seen it because if you go read, everyone has their thing. You can read anything, but like I've experimented with myself and a lot of people now. I saw that I was already more than 10 years into strength training. I started having newbie gains where I was getting stronger every single workout, and it was people commenting and like almost suspecting steroids in a sense. And like so I've seen that. I've had so many guys and girls, but a lot of guys, right? Like they are doing everything they can to build muscle. They're training 6 days per week. They're force feeding themselves, and everything is not working. And they get on HIT, and it's just straight away that there. In terms of like what you could be there of like kind of adding a new stimulus to the body, or like people call it like shocking the body, shocking the muscle, surprising the muscle. To me, surprising the muscles just means progressive overload. Like it's not that we should do something crazy out of the left field. It literally just means like if your body's accustomed to this, you need to step up the loader, and like you need to increase the challenge, right? Whether that's more weight, more reps, or whatever. I think that if you have been steadily getting stronger with HIT, then we can assume that the stimulus is enough. And when people hit a plateau, because I've seen this many times that people hit a plateau, because the stronger we get, the longer we're going to need to recover. Because as you get stronger, right, you get better at recruiting muscle, which means that now you're using more of the muscle, you're causing more stress on yourself. You're going to need longer to recover on this. Yes, we do increase our ability to recover from exercise, but not as much as we improve the ability to contract the muscle. So we will need longer to recover. So that's why when people start HIT, that's why I mentioned with me, my shoulders might take 12 days to recover. So a beginner, I'll put them training shoulders, and then they might have like 6 days in between before they train shoulders. But as they get stronger, when they start hitting plateaus, when they're not increasing, then we can assume that the stimulus is enough because they're doing the same thing they have been doing for a long time. But the rest period might not be enough now. So then I give them 2 or 3 days extra rest, and then we see that the number went up again. So then I can kind of say that most of the time this has been the problem, the recovery period. If their training is the same and the training has been working, then it's the recovery that's been missing.
Okay.
But dude, it gets, because you're obviously fucking jacked as well. Like it gets to a point where you get so strong. Like for me to progress in the leg press, man, I genuinely have to take like 20 days off. Like if I max out on leg press, I tested this, man. I had to take like, I came back like 22 days later and I was stronger. So it's very hard unless you're really measuring. Most of us don't really do that experiment with like, okay, I'm going to do leg press once per month and see if I get stronger, because it's very counterintuitive. It's very intuitive there to think I need to do more. So unless we don't happen on these results by accident.
Yeah. No, adaptation is just like it's the most fascinating topic across all vectors. Like you can look at it across business and mindset, obviously, like the internal OS, and you're mentioning like the hardware before of our bodies and our programming and things. But you could do the same thing inside internally. Adaptation is like it's the most interesting thing for me because it's like it's not so much just what's the right answer, it's just like what's the laws that govern it. So for programming for adding muscle to yourself, volume and intensity, right? And then ample recovery time. What like and actually regarding that, what's your diet like? Like do you have like a 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight, or do you not count protein? What about macros, nutrients? What do you kind of eat and strive for with your dieting if the goal is muscle mass, strength to support, say, an high intensity training protocol?
I no longer count macros. I've done it and I recommend people do it to get an idea, because some people are way off. Like if you're not getting the protein, there's a reason people talk like protein. If you're not getting your protein, you can just like, we're not doing anything here. You're not getting anywhere. But in terms of them people overeating protein way over, you cannot force muscle growth by eating more. whether that's protein or food in general. Like you need to eat enough to allow muscle growth. You cannot force muscle growth. This is also with bulking. Anyone who goes on any form of like dirty bulk or even just too big of a surplus in general, it's waste because you can build muscle in deficit at maintenance. And yeah, if you have a small surplus of 200 calories, it's going to help you build muscle a bit. But the people who, people go way over, it just turns into extra body fat. And like, if you're already in a surplus and you're not gaining muscle, it's your training that's wrong. It's not that you're not like, people are nauseous. They're force feeding themselves and they're not gaining muscle, and they think they have to increase the food. But yeah, man, I'm very much like health first. Get your hormones, get your gut health, get your testosterone, and muscle will follow. So I'm very big on micronutrients. Obviously, a lot of animal based, going into red meat and eggs and raw milk and honey and all this. But also a lot of the coconut water, fruits, all the you saw chlorella, spirulina, those things, sweet potato. A little bit more carbohydrates on the days when you are training intensely, because obviously glycogen, right, fuels muscle contraction, like intense work. So on the strength days, I'll do higher carbs, and on the rest days or green days, I'll do higher fat for hormone production.
Yeah. Yeah, love it. In regards to hydration, do you like when I was in Bali recently, I did like a scan. I don't know if I told you this. I did a scan on one of the machines and it came back with higher water retention. And I was speaking to the guy and we analyzed some of my levels and it looked like I was taking on too much water, which is true. I couldn't stop drinking. And every single time I visit the tropics, I'm drinking like a horse.
Uh,
And he was like, "You're underhydrated. You need more electrolytes." And I was like, "Bro, I'm having a coconut already, at least one a day, usually two. And then I'm having one electrolyte sachet, at least." He's like, "Double it."
uh,
And I was having salt with every meal. Anyway, I started I upped the sachets to two. And then I was having like extra bananas for potassium. I was like extra coconuts where I can. I like stopped drinking water nearly entirely and then tried to reduce the amount. Caffeine's also a culprit, like one of the worst offenders at taking some of your salts away. So I like was reducing coffee here and there, and I felt so much better.
uh,
And it definitely increased strength. And I kind of started it as I was returning back to New Zealand, annoyingly. But every single time I was in the tropics, I often felt like weaker, just didn't feel my strongest. And that wasn't to say that I didn't look my best or I wasn't strong. It's just like the feeling of it wasn't there, the aggressive nature, and it would come very rarely of like, I want to attack the weights today. Like a level of being like lethargic. And so being back in New Zealand was always like a chance for me to go like back to the roots of, oh, cool, I can properly train now, I can get stronger and things. But I had no idea why. And I thought it
uh,
was just like in the air or something like that. So what's your like, do you sweat a lot? And what's your protocol for eliminating that? And do you think, like, what's your view on hydration and electrolytes in general?
I'm literally sitting with all the things here. I'm mixing it as
Yeah,
we
yeah,
go.
yeah. There we go.
I think this, and I love that you say to get the aggression back. That's in a positive way that we want to be aggressive. But yeah, I think this is a really clear case of again where like we've gone against nature. Like we are white guys, man. We are not remotely where we're supposed to be. I've also had really, really big problems with this, man. I was actually getting serious health complications. I think I mentioned like some year ago, and I sweat more than because it also is counterintuitive, but the more fit we get, the more we sweat because your body's more primed to sweat. Basically, it gets better at cooling down. But like I will literally sweat buckets, and I train every single day here in the jungle. So like I was so depleted from minerals and this, right? But then also, this is not only about us being white guys here in tropics. It's just a funny example there of like we're taken out of our natural environment. So now things are going wrong, and we have to understand what's going wrong. We have to correct this by pounding salt and electrolytes. But most people around the world are also chronically dehydrated, right? Two biggest reasons: stress. So they done tests, man. When they look at like soldiers in war zones and stuff, obviously very highly stressed. They need more minerals. Like you deplete minerals faster when you're stressed, and people are chronically stressed. Then, yeah, coffee, caffeine, obviously people, and that's a vicious cycle. People drink coffee, it depletes the minerals. Now they're tired, now they drink coffee. So it goes over and over. But then also this that we don't get the minerals we should anymore. Soil depletion, right? People don't get the magnesium that we should. There should be magnesium and all minerals in the soil. Overuse the soil for growing stuff, so we're not getting minerals. So most people are deficient in minerals and electrolytes. And drinking more water, more empty water, is just gonna flush out more minerals. So now you're just getting more and more empty. And yeah, you feel thirsty because your body doesn't hold on to the water because you don't have any sodium or stuff to bind it in the cells. So now you're just drinking more and more water, you're just flushing more and more out, and now you just got like, yeah, you're very empty from the minerals. So I think that's when people talk about chronic fatigue and stuff, I think minerals is a big aspect.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. I think like to me it was just such a surprise because you have things like creatine or caffeine, and they make quite a difference in the way you perform. And you always hear about electrolytes, but I think there's probably a reason why some of the biggest sporting brands are electrolyte drinks, right? Like your
Yeah,
Prime, your Powerade, your Gatorades, like these shit ones, these shit versions of electrolytes. But
the
there's
one
a
in Bali.
reason, right? Yeah, yeah. The reason is because yeah, we do sweat, and like all those reasons you just discussed, we do exert minerals.
Uh,
I think also like speaking of like, and I'd be interested to hear yours, but speaking of supplements or things that I've noticed the biggest change and my physique, strength, energy, Shilajit. I
okay,
wasn't I've been taking Shilajit for I think this might be year 5 now. Like I got into it very early when it kind of just started to come out,
yeah, very.
but I didn't take it maybe the last 6 months as consistently. Like I kind of ran out, I was kind of forgetting, and I went back to this brand. I swear by this brand. I'm not affiliated with them, but it's just like the best one I've found. But I took it the other day for like the first time in a while, and dude, I didn't know why I felt so good. I just wasn't tired. I went to the gym for 2 hours that day. I did everything but hit because I did hit for like 2 hours straight. Like I was just doing so much volume. I think that morning I'd gone for rugby practice, and then I came home and I was speaking to someone and I was like, I feel like I could go for a run right now. And I didn't know why I had so much energy. It's not like I was in a calorie surplus or anything, but I had also had caffeine that day, so that was obviously a culprit, but that wasn't new. Like I take caffeine every day. The only anomaly was the Shilajit. Have you tried it, or do you have any other supplements that you kind of swear
I
by?
haven't. No, this is why it's so good to have guys like you, and because we have all these areas of health, and like there's not enough time for all of us to dive deep into every topic, right? Like you have the light and the sleep and all these things you dial in. It's like, yeah, you're aware. Shilajit, obviously, I've yeah, it comes up. I'm impressed you start so early because I see the last few years everyone talks about it, and for me, it's never enough time to dive deep into. I don't like taking stuff that I don't research properly, or like anything in life actually. Like I like knowing what I do, but I don't have the time to dive properly into that. But that's like, it's like I know you do. So if you recommend it, I'll try it. But no, I've never tried Shieldit actually. I think in terms of supplements, what you mentioned there with electrolytes and this stuff, I think why they are so big and so it's like with a lot of things where like they're popular for a reason. And then they try to bring out all this other stuff because everyone want to bring something new to the market. But the ones that like, the if you talk creatine, electrolytes, and like or like the typical fish oil or like omega 3 and magnesium, right? It's like they are the OGs for a reason. And now people want to come out with all the other different stuff, but like it's the same man with exercise. Like people always want to have that new thing or another thing, but like really the fundamentals are the fundamentals for a reason. So I think electrolytes absolutely should be consideration for many people, just like creatine. I take, I do take quite a bit of supplements. They're all centered more on like gut health, digestion, minerals in this. There's no like gym supplements, if you say.
Yeah, because you went. What was your health condition you went through again? Was it parasitic or was it? I forget the actual.
Yeah. I got parasites in the stomach. So man, it was like a very long time here, like a few years that I was kind of critically, just like up and down and everything. Went, of course, to all the hospitals in Thailand. Went back to Sweden, try to sort this out, and Then I've been so fortunate when you are in these places that you meet people who are into this. So I literally met someone here, Australian dude who was like an expert in parasites, and like I started working with him, and he helped it out. But yeah, the more I went into and learned about that, the more I learned that yes, obviously we are in the tropics, there are more parasites here, but it's also you're more vulnerable to this if some things are out of balance in your gut health. The same thing, man, with like when people get sick with a virus or cold or whatever. Yeah, you know, terrain theory, it's like it's more that you are out of balance, you're more vulnerable to getting sick. So with our stomach, man, I was living like my life here was literally wake up, slam a big black coffee on empty stomach, go train martial arts the entire day. It was like very high stress, even though I enjoyed it. It wasn't the most like zen for the stomach. So
Mhm.
the stomach was so stressed, you know, that nothing was working there. And I had taken antibiotics a bunch of times because I kept like getting like injuries and stuff. So everything was very out of whack. So then it was very, if I came in contact with a parasite, it was very easy for them to yeah, obviously wreck the stuff there. So yeah, that was a whole rebuilding phase of like, yeah, you do have to take like anti-parasitic medications, but you also have to literally repopulate the good bacteria. You have to rebuild the gut line. You basically have to rebuild gut health from scratch there, and that takes a while. But it's been a blessing in a disguise because I've learned so much about gut health that now I like want to optimize that.
So the supplements you take now are because of that, or do you think that they're ones that everyone can take?
Let me say, I take a lot of stuff. So I think collagen, a lot of people would benefit from. With collagen, it's again in nature. If we ate animals, we would be eating the whole animals. Whereas now we mostly eat like steak and like the fancy stuff, right? So we're not getting the collagen that you would get from like the skin and the bones and everything. So collagen supplements is very good for joints, for your eyes, even for your gut lining is built out of collagen. Magnesium, I think everyone should take because our soil doesn't have it anymore. Obviously, different salts, I think everyone should take. What else is there, man? Trace minerals, again, just minerals that are depleted from the soil. Um, omega-3, probably a lot of people should take if it's a good one because we get so much omega-6 because seed oils is again like this to balance that out. And I take organ meat, like freeze-dried, freeze-powdered organ meats.
Oh
Organ
yeah.
meats, like yeah, liver and this stuff is so nutritious for you. But if you're not eating that consistently, you might as well like take the pills to get those. It's like nature's multivitamin.
Yeah. First thing the lion goes for when he kills the beast.
Yeah,
They like fight over the liver.
yeah,
Okay. Yeah, interesting. Those are all pretty common now, which is good. You go back 5 years ago, like we were talking about, Shilajit, collagen. I mean, omega threes was always popular, but a lot of these, what you've just mentioned, like no one really knew about them or you know thought to even consider taking these. Now I'm
yeah.
speaking to everyday guys, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I supplement with collagen and stuff. It's good for your skin, hair, and nails, right?" And I'm like, "Yeah, man, that's awesome." So there's a level of awareness that humanity, or at least our generation's waking up to. Sorry,
I
you
was
have
just
something
gonna
else to
say,
say?
but it's also a bit of a trap with the supplements because it's the easiest thing to do. Like people take supplements before they start exercising, which is a bit
Yeah. And I'm also like devil's advocate with supplements sometimes because I don't know. I think that they are overhyped when you compare them to the other things, right? Light, exercise, or movement,
uh
and your actual primal foods that you should be consuming.
yeah.
Like when you compare them to that, they're not as important. But do they offer like benefits? Of course. So I think people can get swooped up in the kind of, marketing because it's unregulated too, a lot of the marketing and claims that they can make,
Yeah,
which doesn't help. But if you have like reputable brands, like Thorn's really good. It's where you can like look behind the scenes and you can like see their manufacturing process and like where they're getting these things from. And one thing I've been noticing more is when I trial herbs, I find herbs are way more powerful, or anything earth derived that
yeah,
doesn't go through as much of a manufacturing process
yeah,
versus synthetically made. I would rather just have the herbs like Tonga Ali, ginkgo biloba, these kinds of herbs. I feel like they're so much more potent, either for the better or worse. Like ashwagandha, I don't
yeah,
think people should be taking,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So like I think
I hear
there's
that.
yeah,
I agree 100%, man. That's why I like the organ pills. So when I was having the gut problems, I had very low iron because yeah, it was all messed up. And then the doctors wanted to give me iron pills, right? And they give you an extremely high dose of synthetic iron pills because we only absorb like 3% of it. So you're taking an extremely high dose to absorb some of it. But then if you're actually getting iron from meat, and then organ meat obviously has like 10x the amount, well, now you're actually absorbing it. So now you could take like this dose and actually absorb all of that. So definitely, I think, yeah, supplements that are, in a sense, just a convenient way to get superfoods. That's kind of the way to go, I think.
It's the ratio thing too. Most people don't understand that if you're having mega doses of one supplement, you're typically draining other levels of other minerals inside you or other elements. So I think you need to, if you go to like a whole holistic practitioner, health practitioner, they're going to like try balance it for you. Versus
Yeah,
like you're just picking it up in the pharmacy or shop and you have no idea. You're just basically going off the directions on the back of the packet. Anyway, I wanted to show you this real quick because this is interesting for obviously us when we're in high performance and helping people get healthy. But it's a McKinsey and Company report. It came out earlier this year about our generations, like Gen Z, caring more about wellness than previous generations, which I don't think is news. I think most people think that or can understand that from you can just look at gyms these days and like you go to the tropics and they're like more like lifestyle clubs now. Like
yeah,
very few of them call themselves gyms. Like when we trained at Omni that time, it was like that's an Omni lifestyle club. It's not a gym. There's just a gym inside it.
yeah,
And so I get really inspired by where we're heading with the future of wellness. And I don't know, I wanted kind of like your general consensus or take if anything pops out. But what I found really interesting is the markers to which people prioritize, or generations rather, prioritize different wellness attributes. Now, given this is in the US, which I would assume has a higher proclivity to some of these, as you'll see, but this was for overall Gen Z and millennials. And yeah, what's interesting here is the biggest differentiator there between appearance, where Gen Z cares about it a lot, versus millennials. But within appearance, I would consider aesthetics to be inside there. If you care about, it's not just the aesthetics of the face, right? Or maybe the way you look. It's like your actual aesthetics. So this could be linked to also, and this is a bit of a stipulation, but it could be linked to like bodybuilding more so than say fitness, where it's a bit more even. And so you can also see this in fashion, like brands like Gymshark and Young LA, even like solo influencers bringing out their own fashion brands. I see it so much more now these days than say 10 years ago in the gym when it comes to wearing apparel of your favorite YouTuber or brand. They're wearing these bodybuilding brands, being indoctrinated by what they're seeing on social media. And the appearance thing, yeah, that kind of stuck out to me as like, I think that's why you have these multi-millionaire bodybuilder guys who aren't like winning contests on stage, but they look jacked. They are really good at talking to camera. And they're just like millionaires printing now because they're basically capitalizing on people caring so much about their appearance, which will always be a thing. But I just found it interesting how Gen Z is kind of like gone to the next level now of calling it like a really high priority for them.
yeah. Is this appearance in general, or like how you look in the gym, or what?
I would assume, just based on this, I would assume it's just appearance in general, right? Like how you look, basically,
Uh,
because all these other ones cover all the other bases. Like millennials care more about sleep, nutrition's pretty even, mindfulness is pretty even. But I'm more interested in what does this say about how we and what we talk about in our content or how we can influence more, because this to me seems like a lot of appearance comes from the ego, right? I'm not good enough, so I need to change my body or morph my face in order to reach a certain standard where I can feel accepted. And so that's all that says to me is like Gen Z cares more about than the millennials. So it's like a growing concern.
yeah,
But yeah, this report's really interesting, bro. Like you should have a read through it. You've got sexual health and skin, hair care needs, more important. So this is exactly what I was just saying, like Gen Z is, because I think like the future of wellness is in these sectors, right? It's like getting healthier, better sleep, better nutrition, your mindfulness or which in the practice might be like yoga or stretching or breath work or energetics, bioenergetics. Then you got fitness, which is like your high rocks, your CrossFit, your cross athletes that do maybe running and performing like powerlifting or something. And then you got appearance, which I would say is more like bodybuilding. Like I don't think it's like if you care about fitness, you don't really care about bodybuilding. Like what do you think?
I think that we have moved away a bit from the bodybuilding aesthetic of wanting to be as big as possible, but I still think we care more about. I still think we care a lot about aesthetics, but like a different type of aesthetics that people wanna, maybe look a bit more lean and athletic, and like, aesthetic. I don't think we care less about looks, but I think maybe the bodybuilding max muscle look has maybe lost a bit of popularity, right? But definitely appearance in general. It's such. I imagine it's always been a big part. Like as long as I've been in the game, that has been the number one reason why people train. But I think with obviously social media and like that is the main thing we can show off because there's a lot. I was also when I was younger, like I looked, very shredded. I was not healthy in a lot of ways. I had my injuries, I had my joint aches and everything. But like if I just posted a picture on social media, you wouldn't see that. So it's very tempting to go all in on aesthetics now and just post on social media and be kind of like is that's the only thing people see. They don't see your gut health. They don't see how your joint health. Man, they don't even see if you are like happy or whatever. You literally just like flex on social media. So I think that's why maybe that part is more visible now, so people are going even more into that. Because I know like even in terms of like appearance and like being attractive, there's a lot more to that obviously than literally just the shape of your body. It's the way you move, it's the way you stand, your posture and everything. But like that's even that stuff doesn't come through in pictures. Like a picture is only your physique. It's yeah, maybe that's why you got that.
Yeah, no, I would agree. Um, no, I just find it interesting, like looking into the future of wellness, like what's coming up, and typically it's sourced from insecurity a lot of the time, like weaknesses or problems. Like obviously those harbor the best solutions, and it's just interesting that appearance is just like more important for younger generations now, more than ever,
Yeah,
which points towards bodybuilding. It points towards a higher standard of how the body looks, which I would say was already like a standard that had outgrown the previous generation, right? Like if we look at say our parents' generation or like the boomers' generation, it's like they didn't
yeah,
really care. Like bodybuilding was a very rare thing, but
yeah,
now literally, like we know so many guys on steroids today. Most of them are not claiming that they are, but it's just like that. This is where we're at right now. And so when I look at like the future of wellness, I see like a huge aspect there around helping people understand maybe the deeper lying sources and insecurities around why they want certain things, less about how to get them. Like getting them is like one avenue for sure, like how to get jacked, how to put on 10 pounds of muscle, whatever it is. But I feel like there's a deeper level there of a generation crying out to be accepted.
yeah. And it's not the solution isn't only to get more jacked because physique inflation. Have you seen this? Yeah.
No, no, what's
Yeah,
this?
well, it's like if you look at I think the Spider-Man movie, Tobey Maguire. I think maybe this is like 2005 or something, whatever. He's super.
Do you have standards like with your clients? Like, do you just have general standards that you think everyone should achieve? Like, I've heard guys say like double body weight squat, 2.5 body weight deadlift. Like, they have barbell standards. They might even have like pull up dip standards or um fat look like percentage of body weight as fat standards. like you're at 10% or less or whatever it is. Like, do you have standards for, outcomes or where people, should be? Speed, agility, mobility, anything? Really? Wow. So does a man matter on like size of hand or like you think that everyone should just be able to hang from one arm? Interesting. Do you see like a good standard for body weight? If we're like an elite standard for body weight for a natural who wants to be like, S tier strong, look really good, like low body fat percentage, but like great muscle bellies or like, improved muscle bellies to the point where they're popping in the right areas, the shoulders, the arms, the forearms, etc. Do you see a good baseline? I've heard people say it's the back end of your height in centimeters. So if you're 180 centimeters, it would be 80 kilograms. If you're 185 centimeters, it's 85 kilograms is like a good natural weight for that size. Do you have like a standard that you think's the best when it comes to say weights, body fat, anything like that? Yeah, I love cross comparing those because one thing when I'm like, training entrepreneurs is they typically have money goals, right? So we talked about everything programming for the body. It's the programming for the mind because the mind drives the business, the team, the relationships, the networks. And one of the things I cross compare is if they're working out, let's say, I say exactly what you said. Are you happy with the way you look? They're like, oh no, I could be better. And I'm like, and how long you been working out? 10 years, whatever it has been. And you're not happy. No, I could be better. It's like, well, what makes you think that when you reach that 200K per month milestone that you're going to be happy? Because you're currently at like 100K or 50K or whatever the number is that we're working with, and you're currently not happy, striving for more. And so, like you said, are you going to be satisfied? Like most people will be satisfied, but I would even bet to say that's a healthy person who's going to be satisfied with that level of physique. if they're unhealthy internally, and I mean in terms of the way they think and their beliefs, their mindset, they might get to a really top end physique and strength standard and not be happy. Yeah. No, I think that's a good place to end it. Appreciate your time, bro. I've got one last request for you, if you're up for it. I want to get your live press up max. You're gonna hold the record no matter what it is, because I'm gonna get every guest to do it if they're willing. Bit of morning cardio for a chest to the floor. If you have a request, let's do that. What's your share? One sec. What's the Rocky music? I don't even know what it's called. Eye of the Tiger, yeah, of course. Alright, bro. I'll give you a countdown. Can you hit? Wait, let me know if you can hear this. Okay, I'll give you a countdown. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Let's go. 1, 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. Come on. 10 is the first decade. 11, 12, 16, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. Good press ups. 24, 25. Come on, bro. 25. Not bad. Not bad. Maybe we'll have to do a part 2 sometime. I'll note you down then. You're on the leaderboard so far, first place. No, I appreciate you. If anyone got anything out of this who's listened in, make sure to reach out to Alex if you have any questions, or myself. I'll leave your IG handle down in the comments below. Yeah, anything else you want to finish with, bro? Otherwise, appreciate you coming on.